Okay, so welcome back to this second lecture on the play which we are discussing, Raisin in the Sun. In the previous lecture, we tried to look into the historical, political, social, cultural context of the play. We tried to discuss few things about the author of the play, Lauren Hansberry. So that has given us enough background now. So before diving deep into the play, we should get acquainted to the characters of the play and what kind of roles do they play in the development of this particular play. That is something which we are going to discuss. So this play is actually based on the experiences of a particular family. There are few members of the family and something has happened in their life and they are trying to negotiate that thing. That is what the play is about. And this is a play which is written by an Afro-American playwright. So naturally, this play is a story where majority of the characters are Afro-American, that is blacks. I will be using these two words interchangeably, Afro-American and blacks. So this family is, if you look at the characters of the play, then one would notice that this is a story of three generations. There are three generations living under the sun, under the same roof, and the play is about their dreams and their life. So they are living in a very cramped space in Chicago apartment in the 1950s. They are navigating their life under racial and economic oppression. The background discussion which we did in the last lecture has given us enough idea about what kind of America was it in the 50s and the 60s. So a play which was premiered on the Broadway in 1959 talks about that particular period. So the setting of the play is a ghetto in Chicago where a black family and members of the three generations of that black family are living under the same roof. It's a cramped space. If you read the stage directions which are given in the text, then you would see that the furniture is all worn out, the space is very little. It's an apartment of two bedrooms where one bedroom is shared by the couple and the other bedroom is shared by the mother and her daughter and the younger member of the family, the representative of the third generation. He spends his nights in the living room. So the stage directions are very important thing when you try to read a play, because when you read these stage directions, you get a clear-cut idea of the socio-economic status of the characters, the historical and the present setting of that play, and that is why these things need to be taken very seriously, and we really need to pay closer attention to all these things. Now, when I told you that this play has characters which come from different generations, so that each generation has its own way of thinking, and so this play, in the last lecture, I've spoken a great deal on the title of the play, which is taken from that Langston Hughes poem, which deals with themes, a raisin in the sun. So this play is about dreams of these three different generations, and central to the play is the theme of hope, sacrifice, identity, and dignity, and the thematics of this play is staged through these characters. Now, political literature or the literature of protest runs a huge risk of being a didactic thing. Now, what do I mean by didactic? That the message is pretty clear, subtlety is lost. The message of the play is conveyed at the cost of the subtleties, and human life is full of subtleties. And Lauren Hansberry is a master playwright while dealing with such things. So when I say that literature of protest or political literature runs that risk of being overtly didactic, Lauren Hansberry has been able to successfully dodge this thing. The ideas which she wants to convey, those ideas are not worn on the sleeves of the characters. They are human beings, and so their aspirations, their dreams, their hopes, they are all staged on the play. Stanley Kubrick, once upon a time, while he was talking about that wonderful series of films called The Decalogue by Kieslowski, when he talked about the greatness of this series, he said that the beauty of this series lies in the fact that all these 10 films are thematic films. They deal with a particular theme, apparently the 10 Commandments. The beauty of each film lies in how that idea is staged through characters. It is not directly presented like a religious sermon. I also remember that famous quote from Philip Pullman where he said that thou shalt, this particular phrase is generally forgotten, and once upon a time this particular phrase is always remembered. So the greatness of the political artist lies in the skill in which the artist stages those ideas, presents those ideas through whatever medium that artist is using. And Lauren Hansberry is a wonderful playwright who talks about hope, who talks about sacrifice, who talks about identity politics, who talks about the issues of dignity which the black population was facing at that time. But this has not been overtly, this hasn't been done overtly, but she has used the medium of drama very skillfully in order to stage these dreams, these aspirations, these issues, and that is the thing which makes this play such an enduring piece of art. Otherwise, had the politics of the play been very overt, and had the playwright not paid enough attention to her craft, then this play would have remained a topical play. As long as the civil rights movement was going on, people would have said that this is a great play. But this has remained a great play. The secret of its endurance lies in its skillful dealing with these particular themes. And these three different generations have different aspirations, have different dreams, and these dreams are presented in this particular play. The most important character of this play is, so before I discuss these characters one by one, let me give you a brief idea about the characters. The story of this play mainly deals with a particular family. The name of that family is Younger. So the Youngers are three generations living under the same roof. Who are these three generations? The first and the most important character, of course, is Lena Younger, who is referred to in the play as Mama. So whenever we will discuss a character, we will also use the same word, Mama. So that is the first generation. The second generation of the Youngers, that she has a daughter and a son. Her daughter is a young girl, and her son, who works as a chauffeur, is married to another person, so that person also belongs to the same generation. And Mama's grandson, Travis, that little boy represents the third generation. All these people are living under the same roof. So the first character, Mama. Who is she? She is a retired domestic worker in her early 60s. Deeply religious, steadfastly optimistic. Mama is the moral compass of the family. So when the play opens, you see that this character who's holding the family together, she belongs to that generation of the black people who believed in the traditional values, who believed in Christianity. In fact, there would come an incident where the generations clash. And why these generations clash, that is something which we will discuss in greater detail later on. So she is a domestic worker who is in her early 60s. Her husband is dead, and her husband has her husband had an insurance policy, and that is going to get encashed. And Mama has certain dreams to fulfill, out of the money which the insurance claim is going to give her. So, what kind of a person is she in the play? She is deeply religious person. She's steadfastly optimistic, very optimistic person, because religion and optimism kind of go hand in hand. And she is the person who's holding the family together. She is a person of strength, and she makes certain sacrifices. For example, the $10,000 which she is going to inherit, because she's the nominee to the insurance claim, she has dreams to fulfill, her own dreams. But at the same time, if you look at her dreams, you would notice one thing, that her dreams are actually the dreams which she has for her members of the family. And so this is a particular character in the play, the matriarch of the family. The next character, the next most important character in the play is Walter Walter the Younger, Walter Jr., because Mama's husband was also Walter. So Walter Sr. and Walter Jr. He can be called as a dreamer, one who dreams, right? So there are certain aspects related to his personality. What kind of a person is he? He has frustrated ambition. He is a person who is in his mid-30s. He is a chauffeur who's serving in that racially charged atmosphere, in that poverty where he, whatever his dreams or whatever his demands from life were, were curtly denied to him. So he is a person who is living in his life, who is living his life in such desperate situations, and this desperation gives rise to the tendency of dreaming in him, and he has a dream to fulfill. When the insurance sum of American $10,000 is going to come to the family, he has a dream of starting a liquor shop. He wants to invest that money in liquor business so that he'll be able to ensure a better future for his family members, and he would be able to escape that vicious cycle of poverty, racial segregation, and that resultant frustration. Walter is a very complex character. Walter is a mixture of so many things. For example, there is an incident in the family where the brother and the sister, when they talk about the insurance sum which is going to come, the daughter, his sister, wants to invest some amount she wants some share in the sum, because she wants to pursue medicine, education. She wants to become a doctor, basically. And at that time, Walter says that, why do you need to be a doctor? Why do you want to pursue such a career? Why don't you do womanly things? So Walter, who is a dreamer himself, but is also a deeply patriarchal person. He is a total failure as a husband. He is not able to understand the feelings of his long-suffering wife. So complex. Walter is a very complex character. At one and the same time, at one point you think him to be a victim, but at the same time, he victimizes other members of the family. So he's a mixed bag of certain values, certain issues which he has to face, and his arc in the play. The way his character develops throughout the play is an important feature in this play. The next important character in the play is Ruth Younger. Ruth is Walter's wife. She is in her early 30s, and she's really a worn out character. She's worn by the poverty in which they have to live. Almost inconsiderate husband. Walter, as we were discussing when we were talking about his character, is a very complex character. At times he's a very loving person, but most of the times he's a very uncaring husband. So Ruth always thinks that her life has become a kind of trap, and she also wants to escape that trap. All is not okay in their married life, and but at the same time Ruth is a very considerate wife, because when they discuss about what should be done with the amount which the family is going to receive as the insurance sum, at that time Ruth demands that some amount should be given to Walter, not because she wants a good life for herself and her son, but she says that that amount will give him an opportunity to start his own business, and his business would give him two things which he deeply lacks in his life, and these two things are happiness and confidence. Please remember this: happiness and confidence. So she wants her husband to be a confident person. She wants her husband to be a happy person. So she is that kind of a person. She is a family stabilizer. She is a pragmatist, a realistic person. Walter is a dreamer. There is a small scene in the play, but then, as they say, the devil lies in the detail, or the God lies in detail. You can prefer your own version. There is a small scene where the child in the family, Travis wants some amount which he wants to submit in the school, some saints, and there's no money in the family. So the mother says that she does not have money, and Walter actually hands him $1. The child becomes happy, goes away. But after that, one realizes that that $1 was actually Walter's means to go to the job. And now he has handed over that $1 to his son, given that $1 to his son, and now there is no money left to commute from his home to the place of his job. So Walter is not realistic enough, but at the same time, Ruth is deeply rooted into reality. When she becomes pregnant, what is to be done with the baby is a decision which she makes, and she always thinks about her husband, people close to her. In fact, she always cares about the family. So in that way, she is kind of similar character to Mama. The only difference is that they belong to two different generations. Okay. So now the next important character from the family is Benitha Younger. Benitha is an aspiring intellectual, and Benitha actually in this play represents that young, independent black American youth who were taking part in the civil rights movement, and for whom the dignity of life mattered a great deal. And in this play, when you would see that she's dating two people. One is a Nigerian student who has come to study in the United States of America, and the second character is the second person whom she is dating is George Murchison, who is a rich black boy who wants to get married to her for certain reasons, and Benitha has to choose between them. The way Benitha negotiates her life actually underlines the fact that she is an aspiring intellectual woman for whom the comforts of life won't matter a great deal, but for her the equality, the equality of status matters a great deal. She is Walter's younger sister and a college student who's determined to become a doctor. She's a bold, searching, and fiercely independent person. And she is a person who challenges the stereotypes. She's very proud of her African identity, and she is the voice of the progress in the play. Now, when I say that she's quite aware of her African identity, there is a particular scene in the play. Now, when I talk about a scene, particular scene, I want to bring out, tease out the different forces which are at work in those scenes. I'm not here to just narrate the story, but then there are so many elements which are at work. There are so many forces at work. For example, when Asagai, that Nigerian student who's romantically interested in Benita, when he looks at her hair, straightened hair, and says that why have you straightened your hair? Because we should be proud of our African roots. The kind of shock which she receives, and George, she goes out on a date with John Murchison, and when George drops her at home, he wants to kiss her, but instead of giving him a parting kiss, she's more interested in having the intellectual discussion with him. And George is hardly interested in such things. So she finds that person hollow. So Benita is also a character which represents that particular generation of the Afro-Americans who were undergoing these experiences. So Benita is a kind of spokesperson of that generation of young, radical Afro-American population who were fighting for equality, who were fighting for dignity, who were trying to find their own place in the American society. So Benita is also a very interesting character in the play, very important character, I should say. Now the third generation, we talked about, before I started with the discussion of each and every character, I told you that this play deals with three different generations of a particular family. So the first generation, of course, was Mama's generation. The second generation was Ruth, Benita, and Walter's generation, and the third generation is represented by this young kid in the family who is Benita and Ruth and Walter's son. The name of that person is Travis Younger. And now what role does this character play in the play? I would say that he's the symbol of innocence in the play. See, this play is situated in tremendously politically charged atmosphere, and each generation has a way of dealing with it. For example, for Mama, this new radical things make her very uncomfortable. For Benita, these new radical ideas are very important. Ruth and Walter, they're fighting their own battles of finding happiness in this society. But so everybody is kind of dealing with some kind of crisis or the other. In that atmosphere, you see Travis, who's the symbol of an innocence, who's yet to see the realities of the life, who kind of represents that new Afro-American citizen who might find that equality and who might find that dignity of life in future America. So he's the symbol of innocence, he's the future generation whose existence is the reason the family fights for a better home. In fact, when Mama wants to buy a new house, she wants to buy a new house because two reasons. The first reason being that her husband, late Walter Younger, who had saved up all this money, or who had invested this money because he wanted a decent house for his family to live in. He wanted his family to get rid of that cramped apartment in the Chicago ghetto. And so that's one reason. So she wants to fulfill the dream of her husband. But at the same time, when she says that why does she want to buy a house. Why does she want to buy a decent house? Because she thinks that I want my grandson to play on the lawn, to be the part of that America which he has not seen. So, so Travis kind of represents that coming America, right? So these were the major characters of the play, and all these characters, they come from one family. The only white character in this play is Carl Linder, who's represented as the face of segregation, because when the youngers want to move to Clybourne Park, which is white's only locality, it is Carl Linder, a white person, who comes to visit the youngers and who tries to dissuade them from coming and living into that white locality, and he also offers some money to buy them out, and in return of they're not coming to that place. So he is the face of that racial segregation which America was experiencing at that time. And there's another character in the play, a minor character rather. The name of that character is Mrs. Johnson. Mrs. Johnson is their neighbor, and who represents that group of population which has accepted that wretchedness as a normality, the wretchedness of their existence as normality. So when the youngers decide to leave for the greener pastures, if I could use that phrase, and I'm quite aware of the irony which is inherent in the phrase. So at that time, when they come, when Mr. Johnson visits them, she is also a person who tries to dissuade them from going there. She says that one has to live one's life according to the status which is accorded to us by our birth, by our race, by our class. So she belongs to that particular section of the population which has accepted the wretchedness as normality in the play. So then there are couple of minor characters like George Murchison, a black man whom Benitha is dating, and another character who is an African student who has come to study in United States of America. The name of that character is Acetyl, and even these two characters will play their role. These are two contrasting figures. One is a complete status quoist beneficiary of the system. The second one is an outsider who tries to bring in that overexcited radicalism. So that particular character represents this. So this is a different area of characters who come together. These are very, very complex and very interesting characters who come together and give a shape to this play. Now, our introduction to the major characters of this play is over in this lecture, and when we meet for the next class, we'll be talking about the plot structure of the play. Thank you for watching this particular lecture. Thank you.